I just want to put into perspective what I think the major problem in America healthcare is. Now, I am no expert, haven't done studies, just typical sociological perspective from seeing it from many angles. Well, let's start from the pharmacy perspective. Well, first of all, we know that PBMs are an issue across the board. If we can't get rid of them, then we need to deal with them. However, let's use the example. So, prior authorizations. So, basically, the majority of prescriptions are going to require prior authorization, which that usually means the doctor will have to fill out paperwork. So the pharmacy will notify the doctor's office that they're going to need to fill out paperwork in order to get the medication covered on the insurance. Now, I have experienced filling out a prior authorization form. These forms are detailed, require extra information, and ultimately they take a while. Okay, so according to Google, most physicians see 11 to 20 patients a day. That's most. Some, it's even more than that. So you're wanting a prescriber to take away from their patients to fill out a paper for something that they already professionally think is what their patient needs. Okay? So then they send this off to the insurance. Now, it doesn't mean it goes through right away. Like, I've done it before where they'll send stuff back needing extra information. So then that takes longer for a provider to do. Meanwhile, the patient is still at the pharmacy waiting. The problem is that not all systems reject the same code. For instance, if I'm in a pharmacy and I bill a claim to an insurance, it may come back and say, oh, it needs a prior authorization. Well, after going back and forth via fax or however, because again, doctors and other providers have lives and they have patients as well, going back and forth, playing cat and mouse, it may ultimately be that the drug's just not covered. Okay, well, had that, like insurance, had they across the board been the same thing and told me that straight up front and been completely transparent, then I could have been transparent to the patient, and A, the pharmacist could have just changed it themselves. B, again, the pharmacist could have known from the get-go it wasn't covered, and then they could have told the doctor that right away versus, oh, it needs this, and then the doctor's running around in circles not knowing either. Or C, like, again, I just could have helped the patient more efficiently. Now, moving on. So say we got all that under control. Meanwhile, the patient is still waiting, okay? At the pharmacy, they don't understand why their prescription's not ready. So the doctor's doing this on the back end. Again, they have patients, they have their own stuff as well, okay? So sometimes it can take 1 to 3 days. That is assuming that the prior authorization, they take it the first time and you don't have to do extra information, okay? So again, patient's still waiting. Some of these medications that are prescribed are potential medications that patients need. And if you're waiting 1 to 3 days, like let's just say it's insulin, okay? Well, I think it's just common sense that if that patient is having to wait that long to get something they need, like insulin, they're going to go back into the hospital. So then we can go ahead and pull up the cost of the average day in a hospital in America, which is ridiculous. Again, okay? So again, it's this never-ending cycle. So then a different doctor will see them there, prescribe them something else. It may not be covered. They may not have insurance. At the end of the day, what is the main issue? Okay, other than the system when it comes to prior authorizations is one, I don't recall any time in any part of school when I was growing up that I learned about insurances and how they work. No, nobody did. No patient did. No patient is expected to. Two, we vaguely went over Medicare and Medicaid in one class in one semester in pharmacy school. And guess what? The only reason it was is because I had known ish from working. So ultimately, healthcare providers don't learn about this stuff either. So at the end of the day, the only people who still seem to have the upper hand is the insurance. The patients are lacking, and honestly, healthcare providers are stuck in the middle like, what? So yeah, there needs to be something done. It needs to start with education. There needs to be full transparency in computer systems. And again, across the board, like, everybody needs to be on the same page. How do you go to school for all those years and truthfully you don't learn how to bill, so you don't know? So yes, there are things that need to be evaluated.